In a town like ours, it was inevitable. A Greater Manchester police officer, PC James Stonehouse, has been arrested and charged with rape. Now, what aren't Greater Manchester Police telling us?
Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them. On the 20th of November 2003, James Ignatius O'Rourke McMahon was elected councillor for the Failsworth East Ward of Oldham. Deeply ambitious, he ruthlessly rose to power, and by 2011, he was already leader of the council. In 2015, exploiting a Labour Party loophole, he became MP for Oldham West and Royton. If only the people of the town knew then what they now know. Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them.
A very, very good evening. It is Sunday, the 12th of March 2023. My name is Miah, and these are the Sunday evening Recusant 9 transmissions. We've been at this with the transmissions at least for the best part of 3 years, and the work is now approaching 5 years. And despite the best efforts of a whole host of, powerful individuals and entities, we are still here. We are still broadcasting. We are still sharing the information that the politicians that control this town and their council officers would rather keep hidden. And in the lead up to the all-out elections in just over 6 weeks' time, I am in no doubt whatsoever that a concerted effort will be made at the very least to try and suspend me on Facebook. Because over the last 2 years, in terms of the last two elections, the way we have used social media to destroy the careers of Labour Party politicians is, well, you've seen it for yourselves. We've seen it for yourselves. The Oldham Chronicle, the Oldham Times, the Manchester Evening News, Charlotte Green, Jenny Harvey, and all of those in Oldham Council's communications team, the narrative they spin is over. No one is left in this town, apart from those who are desperate to believe them. Few are left in this town who believes them. In fact, this town is in so much of a crisis that even the politicians in the council chamber are now calling on the government to intervene in Oldham. Whether it's a publicity stunt or whether it's genuine, it's of no consequence to me. What is very clear is even the politicians in the council chamber, even the councillors, the main opposition, the Conservative opposition, are putting forward a motion for the last council meeting on Wednesday. I think the last council meeting, they're putting forward a motion wanting an end to this tyranny, the despots held to account, and the government to intervene directly in the running of the council. This is never before seen. This type of motion has never before been seen. And of course, Charlotte Green, your local democracy reporter paid by you, has got nothing to say on the matter. Why is that, Charlotte Green? Is it because you're neck deep in the cover-up of the corruption that infests this town? I think so. You, the Manchester Evening News, the Oldham Times, the Oldham Chronicle, you're all complicit in what has taken place in this town. Which is perhaps why you've had very little to say on the breaking news. And here's breaking news. This is that a GMP officer has been charged with rape. An Oldham police officer has been charged with rape. And yes, they reported it, but they reported it in a way where they knew they had to report it and quickly had it disappear. Where's the analysis? Where's any of it? Nowhere. Nowhere to be seen. So let's put up... Here we go. Let's put up for you the press release, I suppose, from Greater Manchester Police itself. GMP officer has been charged with rape. On the 7th of April 2022, PC James Stonehouse, date of birth 13th of the 8th 1998, was arrested on suspicion of rape and was taken into custody for questioning. The officer was posted to GMP's Oldham district. The officer who was posted to GMP's Oldham district has today, 8th of the 3rd, 2023, been charged with 1 count of rape and continues to be suspended from duty. He will attend Manchester and Salford Magistrate Court on the 11th of April 2023. Where's his photograph, Charlotte Green? You love putting my photograph up when I'd done nothing. Where's his photograph, the Oldham Times? Where's his address? You plastered my address all over the media, all over your newspapers. Where's this James Stonehouse's address or his photograph? Nothing of the sort. Even more interesting is that he was arrested nearly a year ago on the 7th of April 2022. You can see it there. He was arrested nearly a year ago. And it took them the best part of a year before they've charged him. Now, of course, it's innocent before proven guilty and all of those sorts of things, which I, of all people, am reliant on. So, so sorry, PC Stonehouse. There's nothing from me or anyone here that somehow you are guilty until, innocent before proven guilty. We're not from the world of Willaboobies or James Ignatius or Rook McMahon. We are decent people and we want to see what will happen at Manchester and Salford Magistrates Court. I would imagine there'll be a date set for trial. But why the year? Why the year? And where, in the context of everything that's taking place nationally, why is Debbie Abrahams quiet, your MP? Why is James Ignatius O'Rourke McMahon not willing to say anything? Why is Amanda Chaddерton silent? Surely in a town like ours, particularly in a town like ours, our politicians would be raising objections of Greater Manchester Police as to what took place over the year. And for Greater Manchester Police, what's his name? The Welsh lad? I forget his name. The Chief Superintendent, Chris Bowen. Surely Chris Bowen should be providing assurances to the public that PC James Stonehouse has not been charged with rape in any way linked to activities he was involved in whilst on duty as a police officer. Surely that's a reasonable request. The police to issue a statement to say PC James Stonehouse's charging of rape has got nothing to do with any actions. I've made my, whilst he was whilst he was on duty or exploiting a relationship with a woman whilst he was on duty. Or it could have been a man, actually, He could have raped a man, so that's my old-fashioned apologies and my, unconscious bias, I suppose. There's nothing here to suggest that a PC James Stonehouse has been charged with raping a woman. I'm making that assumption. Chief Superintendent Chris Bowen is a disgrace. He should be issuing an apology, issuing reassurances to the public that this matter is not linked to something whilst serving as a police officer. That he hasn't only raises further alarm bells, and I've maintained now for several months from the brutal kidnapping, torture, rape and killing of Sarah Everard onwards, and that's, that seems to be what exposed all of this, and I refuse to accept that Sarah Everard was the first one. This is an endemic culture, in my opinion, that needs rooting out across police forces throughout the country, in particular Greater Manchester Police. Proven corrupt, proven Pakistani rape gang protecting. And yes, I have also seen those lovely Twitter exchanges. Christopher Dean. Detective Sergeant, are you? We'll see how much longer, lad. We'll see how much longer. No, I'm very clear. As a father of a daughter, I want statutory education introduced into schools to raise awareness of dangerous police officers and to educate our girls, in particular, not to go anywhere near solitary policemen. And also what to expect of behaviour that is acceptable and unacceptable from policemen towards young women. In the terms of in view of investigating crimes, in view of following up crimes, making phone calls to see how they are, all of that sort of stuff. No. A professional threshold has been crossed far too many times now for me to consider it is an accident. Male police officers are exploiting their positions. And I don't know what's gone on here with PC James Stonehouse, but I feel deeply uncomfortable. Deeply, deeply uncomfortable. I do wonder if Chris Bowen is smirking. Which is why I urge all of you to have a look at this petition. It's by an organisation that I am a supporter of, the Women's Equality Party. Yes, me, the so-called misogynist, I'm a proud supporter of the Women's Equality Party, and one of their campaigns is to end misogyny in policing. They have a petition on their webpage, and I urge all of you who follow this work to sign it, to join, to take part in the campaign and support them. Women are tired of platitudes and meaningless apologies from politicians and police leaders alike, and we will not accept any less than fundamental radical change. Agreed. Violence against women and girls is not inevitable. Politicians and police leadership have failed women for far too long. Enough is enough. So they've got a campaign. And that campaign, you can see on their webpage, this is their webpage. That campaign is they want a statutory inquiry into police misogyny. They want a statutory inquiry, and I support them in their demands. This cannot be allowed to continue. The police cannot be allowed to rape women, exploit their positions of power, exploit their role in society. No more can this happen. Sarah Everard was the tipping point, and of course it continued. And it continued with that horrific case of David Carrick. It reads like something out of a horror movie, what that man did. And absolutely nothing from James Ignatius or Rook McMahon. Absolutely nothing from Debbie Abrahams. There's no block vote here. That's why. There's no block vote here, but here I am demanding that our politicians immediately require Chief Superintendent Chris Bowen to provide reassurances in the community that all checks have been taken place and all... Can you imagine? No, it's not even worth contemplating. It's not even worth contemplating. And I agree with you, Karen. Greater Manchester Police should not be out of special measures. They should not be out of special measures at all. There's 136 of you who've already joined me this evening, so thank you very much for joining me. I want to start somewhere. I want to start a conversation with you somewhere, which is a history lesson. A history lesson. I want to take you back to 2004. Yeah, 2004. Let me bring it up so you can see why. Let's have it like this. You can see it like that. In 2004, there was a set of elections in Oldham, and the situation had been very tight. The Labour Party had 32 councillors, the Liberal Democrats had 25, the Conservatives had 2, and the Independents had 1. And you can see there, that's the 2004 elections. And it was the last time there was an all-out election. So in 2004 was the last time there was an all-out election where all 60 council seats were up. Now, those of you who watched me the other day, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday morning, when I systematically went through the strategies on how to win an election in a town like Oldham. I think we've done 3 parts so far. I made reference to how the voting splits. I want you to look at this. The first thing I said was even in areas where the candidates are all Labour and it's historically been a safe Labour seat, all 3 councillors do not get the same number of votes. Remember me saying that? And there's usually a massive, a substantial disparity. Here we have Alexander Ward at the time when Hughie MacDonald and Glynis Shaw were councillors. I think Asaf Ali went on to do something dubious, so he's disappeared. But you can see Hughie MacDonald got 982 votes, Glynis got 951, and Asaf got 874. So that's 100 votes less, over 100 votes less. Do you see? Not everyone. So there's at least 100 people who voted for Hughie who did not vote for Asaf Ali. Can you see that? All right. And that's Aftab. I think it's our Aftab. At the time it was a Lib Dem with 619 votes. Let's have a look at Chadderton Central. James Greenwood, Tony Brownridge, I presume that's Barbara Brownridge's husband or brother or something. I'm sure there's a family relation there. And Sidney Jacobs, the Independent. The Independent got in with 1,268 votes. But do you see how James Greenwood and Tony Brownridge, there's 200 votes difference between the first 2 Labour voters. Can you see that? There's 200 vote difference between the first 2 Labour voters. And you can also see Elizabeth Wrigglesworth, 791. Now, can you see there, that Chadderton Central just demonstrates the power of a single independent standing and what it does. Again, in a traditional Labour Party ward where historically they had 3 Labour seats. Can you see what's happened there? And even in 4th place, there was a Green candidate, Philip Stevens. But the independent got in and basically stole 700 votes from the Labour candidate. And the people who voted for the Green candidate, 849 or so, the majority of them also voted for Sydney. Can you see? Can you see the power of that? First fit lesson again there is the highest Labour vote and the Labour candidate, and the second is a significant gap, 200 votes, and how the independent got in because the third vote, people were happy to risk an independent. Food for thought. Chadderton North. Something else happened. Jeremy M.T. Sutcliffe. Oh, those days are gone. Jeremy Sutcliffe. 1782. Susan Dean. I presume a link to Peter Dean. 1403. Philip Rogers, the Conservative, got in 3rd place. Do you see how Joe Fitzpatrick got 1293, but the Conservative got 1372 votes and sneaked in. So even the people who voted for Labour didn't vote Labour all 3, because those who voted for Jeremy Sutcliffe didn't vote in the same numbers for either Susan Dean or Joe Fitzpatrick. I think what happened in Chadderton North there with Philip Rogers getting over the line is that if you look who finished 5th, there was a guy called Ruman Chowdhury with 1,000 votes, the Conservative Bangladeshi guy. His lot voted for Philip Rogers. So they split. So what would have happened is some of them would have voted for Jeremy Sutcliffe and then used the 2nd and 3rd vote for Philip Rogers and Ruman Chowdhury, or some of them voted for Susan Dean and used the 2nd and 3rd vote for Philip Rogers and Ruman Chowdhury. And that's how a Conservative got elected in Chadderton North on the all-outs. Do you see what's happened on the all-outs now? So in Chadderton Central, an independent was able to get in, and in Chadderton North, a Conservative was able to get in. In Chadderton South, which was a Labour Party stronghold until last year when we ousted Arood Shah, Dave Hibbert got the best part of 1,500 votes. Dilys Fletcher finished 3rd with 1,089. David Jones, who became the leader of the council, finished 2nd with 1,457. Do you see David Hibbert to Dilys Fletcher? 400 gap. A 400 gap. And the Conservative strategy of just putting Margaret Owens as a single candidate there nearly worked. 828 votes. In Coldust, Abdul Jabbar got 2,328 votes, but 2nd and 3rd was taken by Gilad Miah and Mohammed Uddin, who, those of you who don't know, is Senior Pe. So Mohammed came 3rd there, and those 3 got through. So Abdul Jabbar, 2,323, Gilad Miah, 2,108. So do you see the split there? So that is cartel voting, basically, Bangladeshi voting. The Bangladeshis voted according to the people they liked. The party banners had no sway whatsoever there. And John Batty got 1,966. So even John Batty was sold out by Abdul Jabbar, because if 2,328 went and voted for Abdul Jabbar, the closest Labour Party person to come 2nd was John Batty with 1966. Message for you there, Jim. Message for you there, Jim. Just wait until I stand against you in the parliamentary elections. We'll see what the samosas get you in Coldest, and what ties far deeper get me. We will see. Interesting. Susanna Stevens, by the way, 562 votes as a Green candidate. That's interesting. That would be essentially the independent sort of vote in Coldest that Montaz then picked up over the years. Crompton Ward, you can see the Lib Dems clean up. But would the Lib Dems clean up? 1,637 in first place, 1,434 in third. Over 200. Over 200. Failsworth East Ward, Barbara Dawson, 1780. Peter Dean came third in 1351. Over 400. I'm showing you because I think it's important. Failsworth West, John Johnson, 1712. Aileen Bell, 1670. Closer, but there's still a disparity. Hollingwood, Jean Stretton, 1138. Brian Ames, 1,066. Close, but still a disparity. Same in Medlock, you'll see the distance. Bernard Judge got 1714. Royton North, Alwyn Chadderton got 1370. Over 400. Bashforth got 1438 in Royton South. Jill Reid got 1132. You can see the percentage of the vote. These were the days in Saddleworth North and Saddleworth South and Saddleworth Western Leeds the Lib Dems held power. Paul Buckley, 1,700 votes. Ian McInnes, 1,429. They took all 3 seats there. Saddleworth South, Richard Knowles, who was the council leader for a while, just under 2,000. John Hudson, 1,843, the only Conservative to get in. So you can see there, even the people who voted Lib Dem and Lib Dem for Richard Knowles and Christine Wheeler also voted for John Hudson. Saddleworth Western Lees, Val Sedgwick got 1430 and Thomas Beeley got 1,143. St James, Jackie Stanton 1354, Roger Hindle 1146, Lib Dem Stronghold. Of course, Jackie Stanton is now a Conservative. Riaz Ahmed in St Mary's. This is the same Riaz Ahmed who's now in Waterhead. I think he's retiring this time round. Got just under 2,000. Akil Salamat. This is Akil Salamat, by the way, who's still in St Mary's, but is now wearing Labour Party colours. Got 1,711. You can see once again the Pakistanis vote for the people. That according to their clans or cartels or whatever phrase you want to use. The party, the colour of the rosette makes very little difference. It will come to bite us one day. Shaw, Lib Dems, Howard Sykes just under 2,000, but Rod Blythe came third, 1,694. 300, give or take 300. Waterhead, John Anker, 1,643. Lynn Thompson, 1,316. Waterhead at the time was a Lib Dem. All 3 seats were held by the Liberal Democrats. See how times change? All 3 seats were held by the Liberal Democrats in Waterhead. Werneth, Khurshid Ahmed split the Labour vote. Fida Hussain, Shoaib Akhtar, Khurshid Ahmed got 2,094. Cameron Guffaw, that's the same Cameron Guffaw who is now the Conservative candidate in Hollingwood, got 1,698. So that's the first thing I wanted to show you, was this is history. And we learn from history. And there's lessons to be learnt there. There's lessons to be learned there of how the opposition should fight. There's another lesson I'd like us to learn, and that's from the 2007 elections. 2007 was a very significant year in the history of Oldham. Very, very significant. It was the first time in my life since the town became what it became, as a, since the 1974 boundaries and stuff. In 2007, it was the first time Oldham Council went out of total control of the Labour Party. And this is what happened. The Labour Party lost overall control of the council. And after the election, the composition of the council was Labour 30, Liberal Democrats 26. You can see they'd been on an incline, the Lib Dems. They were taking seats in traditional Labour Party strongholds, as well as controlling Saddleworth West, Saddleworth North, Saddleworth West, all three Saddleworth wards, Waterhead, all to Shaw Ward, Crompton Ward. They controlled 5 wards in its entirety, and then had seats in all the other wards. So they had 26 councillors. The Conservatives had 3, and the Independents had 1. So for Labour to control, they had to do a deal. Do you know who they did the deal with? Do you know who Labour did the deal with? To keep control of the council. It wasn't the Lib Dems at the time. It was the Conservatives. I'm struggling to get all of the information, but I understand that the position of mayor was exchanged, or deputy mayor was exchanged in return. So what am I saying? I think it's imperative that the Conservatives, at the very least the Oldham Conservatives, bearing in mind the motion they've put forward for this last council meeting about wanting the government to intervene and take over, bearing in mind that, I think it's imperative for the Oldham Conservatives, at the very least, to issue a statement confirming that there will be no deal done with the Labour Party in the event of Labour losing overall control. There will be no deal done with the Labour Party. I'd expect the Failsworth Independents to do the same, particularly as the Labour Party had their opponents in Failsworth. And likewise, I would expect every independent party or candidate who is standing, Royton Independents, Saddleworth Independents, Mark Hinton, the Shaw and Crompton Independents, the Coldest Independents, the St Mary's Independents, all of them to issue statements confirming that there will be no deals done to prop up the Labour Party. No bribes will be accepted, no positions of deputy mayor or anything like that, no deals done with the Labour Party. Because in 2007, when they lost control for the first time, the Conservatives went and did a deal with the Labour Party and propped them up. A very, very good evening to all of you. For those of you who are joining me new, the 172 or so who are joining me new, my name is Miah MBE. These are Recusant Nine transmissions. In the lead up to May's all-out elections, we are going to go in some form or another 7 days a week, where we'll be releasing content, campaigning on the streets, and educating the people of this town to strategically vote in a way where we will wrestle control away from the Labour Party. Where does this need to be declared and to whom? Well, it needs to be declared to the people of Oldham, Lynn. It needs to be declared to the voters. And last time I looked, every one of these people had Facebook pages, or they were going to be dropping leaflets through the letterboxes. Leaflets through the letterboxes in their wards. But they need to reassure the people of our town that they will not sell out to the Labour Party. There is nothing stopping councillors such as Lewis Quigg or Dave Arnott or Beth Sharp from issuing that statement first thing tomorrow morning. There's nothing stopping the Failsworth Independents or the Royton and the Royton Independents. People who will be voting for these people are voting for them because they want to take power away from the Labour Party, not prop them up. Or am I mistaken? If you find value in these transmissions, please like, please share, and please, if you're able to, consider buying me a coffee. Now, I want to bring up the lay of the land as it is. Just give me a second and let me try and fix my iPad. I should buy a new wire and be done instead of jiggling this wire around, but never mind. Local election results May the 5th, 2022. As it stands now, the Labour group have 35 members. The Liberal Democrats have 9, the Conservatives have 9, Failsworth Independents have 5, and Montaz and Aftab have 1 each, so the 2 genuine independents are there as well. So that's what it looks like. And let's go through the wards. In the Alexander walk, Shahid Mushtaq smashed his opposition with 1,401 votes. I'll do this slightly differently. I'll do it this way. So I expect Alexander all 3 will go to Labour. There's a better way of doing this. We might end up on 2 pages, but never mind. But I expect all 3 to go to Alexander to go to Labour. In Chartists and Central, remember Chartists and Central now has changed in its name. So what we're referring to as Chartists and Central now here is going to become Chartists North. And what was Chartists North is Chartists Central. And they've rejigged the boundaries. But basically the new Chartists Central is around Asda. It's the overspill of the Bangladeshi community around Victoria Street, Garforth Street, and cuts across Middleton Road this time. Hi, Debbie. You play catch up. Hopefully you will catch up. So let's do the new Chadderton North Ward. Sorry, the new Chadderton North Ward, which is where some of these councillors are standing. So Colin McLaren and his team are standing there. Best case scenario, 2 Labour, 1 Conservative, because it incorporates areas where the Conservatives have historically done well. The Chadderton North area, which is now Chadderton Central, is where Barbara Brownridge stands, and the 2 Muppets, Naz and Mahon. I know my friend Bert is standing there. I know the Oldham Heart Party are standing there. And I think at best, and this is me being optimistic, you'll see one independent there. That's me being optimistic. Otherwise, it'd be Free Labour. Chadderton South. My understanding is that Robert Barnes will not be standing on the Conservatives ticket. And I doubt he will be standing if he doesn't stand on the Conservatives ticket. I would love to put someone like Warren Bates there in Chadderton South as an independent candidate, because I think we'd get someone like Warren over the line in Chadderton South. If there isn't an independent alternative, and with the absence of Robert Barnes, there will be Free Labour seats there. But if we can get someone like Warren, because you'll need a character there. I've walked up and down the streets there. Evening, Evan. But at best, if Warren Bates, if we can get a Warren Bates there, I'm going to put his name there. If you can get a Warren Bates to stand in Chadderton South, and look how close it was. Arud Shah got 1,101 votes. Robert Barnes got 1,197. In Coldust, where Montaz was elected last time, and having seen the calibre of the other Coldust independents, and again, I'm being fair, I think at best they'll get Montaz over the line, and there'll be 2 Labour Party councillors there. In Crompton Ward, I don't think Markins will stand there. I think from what I can work out, he'll go for Shaw. He'll put all his baskets in Shaw. Failsworth East. You've got 3. The FIP will clean up. Failsworth West. The independents will clean up there as well. Hollingwood. If the Oldham Borough Independents stop behaving like a bunch of idiots, bear in mind there was a by-election since then, and the boundaries have changed. Cameron Guffaw and his team of Conservatives will take Hollingwood. Medlock, Labour will take all 3. I see Mark Birchall stands there. 604 votes. Very, very, stable 600 votes he's got there. But he's just not going to compete with the Free Asian candidates. Royton North. It's got to be. With Clint Piffian standing there. The weakest of the Labour Party politicians. Quig Arnott and Dave Arnott's wife. You'd hope they'll be able to take all 3. Royton South. You'd want 3 independents, the Royton Independent Party. And with a bit of luck, Anthony Prince doesn't stand and gets behind them, because his 100 votes will be valuable. You can see what Gary Tarbuck got there last time, 967. I'd be surprised if the Conservatives put up any candidates there, or maybe paper candidates. Saddleworth North. I don't think the independents will get over the line. I don't think the Oldham, the Gary Kershaw's, which was proud of Oldham and Saddleworth and is now the Oldham Borough Independents. No chance. I think there'll be 3 Conservatives there. So Labour will lose one there. Saddleworth South. I know the Saddleworth Independents are standing there. I reckon they'll get one of their candidates over the line there. And the other 2 will be the Conservatives. Helen Bishop, my understanding now is she's no longer an independent, she's a Liberal Democrat. Saddleworth, Western Leeds. I'm being kind, I'm being hopeful. And we see Paul Shilton get over the line. And this is where I've run out of Labour, Lib Dem, Conservative, Independent. Sure. If I'm honest, I think Mark Ince will be the one who gets over the line. And he'll do well to do that. St. James. They have to work together. Beth Sharp has got to work with Amoy. Otherwise, neither Beth Sharp nor Amoy is getting in, and all 3 of those seats will go to Labour. St. Mary's. If we can mobilise the white vote, block vote, that's what will happen. Waterhead. I think we can get Paul Taylor over the line with the Oldham Hearts. And Wearmouth, we've got no chance. Forget it. That'll be 3. So what does that total? Labour on 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. These are best case scenarios, yeah? 20. Well, best case for us. Lib Dem are on 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The Conservatives are on 1, 4, 3, 6, 9, 12, 14. And the Independents are 3, 6, 9, 12, 13, 14. And that's 60. And the best thing here is, can you see? Combined, Labour and the Lib Dems do not get to 30. Now, if that was to happen, if this was to happen, it would be a complete decimation of the Labour Party, and it would make national news. It would make national news. And it is possible. It is completely possible. But only if we get the strategic guide out on how to vote in target wards. So which are the wards we are targeting? Which are the wards we are targeting? We're targeting Waterhead. We're targeting St Mary's. We're targeting St James. I know we're targeting Shaw because we're targeting Shaw for different reasons, but to get markings over the line and keep the Lib Dem numbers down. We're targeting Chadderton North. We're targeting Chadderton South lightly. Sorry, Chadderton Central and Chadderton South. Coal Dust. Nothing in Crompton. Failsworth East and Failsworth West. I'm hoping we can just get them over the line. Hollingwood is strategic voting. Royton North, Royton South. And something in Saddleworth West and Leeds, potentially. Saddleworth South. You can see where we're targeting and who we're targeting against. And that's what we need to do. It's as simple as that. Chadderton North. Clear the decks. Conservatives will get over the line. Hopefully they'll get at least one. Chadderton Central, support Oldham Hart. Get Bertie or one of his team over the line. Chadderton Central, the same. Get Warren Bates into Chadderton South, sorry. Coal Dust, you can see. Just keep Montez there. Failsworth East and West. Have nothing go wrong. So there's 6 independents there. Hollingwood. Get whoever supports independence. If you want Labour out to go and vote for the Conservatives, then it's all over and done with. You take out 3 Labour Party councillors like that. Royton North. The Royton Independents need to support the Conservatives, and likewise the Conservatives need to support the Royton Independents in Royton South. And Royton is Labour Party free. Saddleworth will play out. Shaw get markings over the line. St James. Beth Sharp needs to grow a set. Go and have a conversation with Amoy and tactically work together. St Mary's, Aftab and Aisha with the white block vote will keep Arood Shah out whilst delivering 2 independents. And in Waterhead, Paul Taylor gets over the line. It's not complicated. None of this is complicated. It's as straightforward as that. It genuinely is as straightforward as that. I wanted to do this evening during the live transmission, so I'll take some questions. I've got plenty of other things to talk about, but I think this is what's most important. For us in this town, I think this is what's most important. And to help these people get over the line, in St Mary's, in Waterhead, in St James's, let's be honest here. Let's be honest here. No one else is going to give you a platform with an audience in this town other than me and give you a fair hearing, because all of you have now seen the Labour Party controlled machinery mobilise. Let me show you what the Oldham Chronicle only did earlier. They are now promoting Councillor Leanne Munro and that muppet, Josh Charters, who was complicit in the cover-up of the grooming and gang rape of children by asking a question through which time was eaten up when he was a Labour Party candidate and tried to pass himself as a member of the public, as an ordinary member of the public, when he wasn't. He's now rocked up in St James. He's now rocked up in Sholver. He knows nothing about Sholver. And here he is with Josh Charters at something they're calling Millennium Green. This is just publicity before the election. A grant of £30,000 from Oldham Council's Local Improvement Fund. I'll reword that. A bribe of £30,000 from Oldham Council's Local Improvement Fund will go towards helping improve pathways at Sholver Millennium Green. These local improvement fund grants by Oldham Council have been strategically distributed in the areas where they want to win seats or want to hold on to seats. Isn't that right, Leanne? He's from Delft, by the way, so she's from nowhere near Sholver. These people think we're stupid, but here you go, the Oldham Chronicle now openly campaigning. We know the Oldham Times openly campaigns, the Oldham Chronicle. So the opposition in what? In St. James. I'm happy to host a freeway interview with Amoy and Beth Sharp. If Beth Sharp is willing to work with Amoy, otherwise Beth Sharp will lose. I'll tell you this for nothing. Beth Sharp will lose in St. James if she does not, if the Conservatives do not, an informal will do, arrangement, come to an informal arrangement with Amoy. And Beth Sharp no one will give Beth Sharp a platform any more than we'll give Amoy a platform in terms of their politics and what they think is wrong, what they'll do to put right. But this platform we will. So it's time to stop hiding, Beth Sharp. Amoy, get in touch. We'll put you on next week because it's one of the key battlegrounds. Same goes for the Royton Independent Party. I know the Royton Independent parties now have 3 candidates, from what I can tell. They're very, very credible candidates. Get them on here. Let's have a conversation with all 3 of them. We all want to support you. Get on. Let's see what happens. Same with St. Mary's. I understand Aftab is worried because Akil Salamat is playing the race card. Apparently I'm anti-Pakistani. And he's sending messages around. So if Aftab is seen anywhere near me or supporting anyone like me, then he might lose votes. Well, unfortunately for Aftab and Aisha, for them both to get over the line, they need the support of white people in St. Mary's. Let's get you on. And anyone who knows me knows I'm no more an anti-Pakistani racist than I am a racist of any form. And I spoke out. Akil Salamat, if you remember, I've seen a text message somewhere, I've got it, I'll put it up at some point. Akil Salamat, the benefit fraudster, Akil Salamat, so we're clear, the Labour Party councillor who's a benefit fraudster. Akil Salamat is complaining about me going on about Pakistani rape gangs as though I don't go on about white people. Well, last week you saw me make reference to the Bolton case. And there's an anomaly with Akil's premise. Who exposed Rod Blythe, Akil? He was your Lib Dem partner at one point, wasn't he, when you were a Lib Dem? Who exposed Rod Blythe, Akil? Who risked being sued, being put in prison, in case what I released was false or fake? Who exposed him? Last I looked, Rod Blythe was a white man. You muppets. All you're interested in is in racialising all of this, and the people of this town, in the main, and more, particularly in the Pakistani community, in the Bangladeshi community, more and more, they have come to the realisation that the Labour Party has weaponised them, and the Labour Party has made them into targets. My friends in the Pakistani community want nothing to do with the mobsters and the rapists. And they've been tricked into a position where it appears that they're sympathetic towards these people, and that manipulation has been facilitated by this Labour Party controlled council, in exactly the same way as the white working classes have been demonised as racist and far-right activists, when they are nothing of the sort, again by the exact same group of people. He wasn't the brightest of individuals when I went to school with Akil. He sat behind me in English. I'm not sure he's a... But please, Akil, give me a call. Come on, let's have a debate. Let's have the debate. Let's have the debate. Same, I think in Hollywood, Cameron Guffaw, you want to get free Conservatives over the line, and you know you need the support of white Conservative voters. Your Pakistani bloc vote won't be enough. Come on, let's have the conversation. Royton North, Lewis Quigg, Dave Arnott, Mrs. Arnott. Let's have you on. The new Saddleworth Independents, Paul Shilton, let's have you on. Or you can continue to believe what Sean Fielding desperately tried to believe, which was no one listened to me and I was somehow irrelevant. Well, I think we've shown over the last 3 years at least how irrelevant these transmissions are and the audience it reaches, and how it has shaped the political discourse. Well, the political discourse I would like to shape in the next 6 weeks is a tactical voting guide, and the encouragement to encourage people to vote for those who we need to vote for to get Labour out of overall control of this council. You can't do it without these transmissions. You can't do it without this platform. So it's time for you to stop hiding, Beth Sharp, etc., etc., and come on. I know your mentor, Jackie Stanton, watches these transmissions. She'll tell you you're going to get took out in St James's by the Labour Party unless you mobilise with the independents and you reach out to working class people, because the mainstream media isn't going to give you a platform, and the council are going to use its resources, like they are doing with Leanne Munro and Josh Charters. It's the equivalent of bribes. And I'm afraid that Denise Sholvo will vote for Josh unless we put a stop to it. Unless we put a stop to it. I'm just going to go and get myself a drink. I've been on for an hour or so I'm just going to go and get myself a drink. Perhaps if you get a drink, and we've got a few more light-hearted, well, they're not light-hearted, but a few more of stories from the week to go through. If you're yet to do so, please consider buying me a coffee. It's how these transmissions operate. I do not belong to an Oldham Council fund, multi-million-pound funded communications team. It's me. The candles behind me, and the top ones have run out, I can see. So my apologies. At the very least, like, at the very least, share. Just over 200 of you watching right now. I'll get myself a Vimto and I'll be right back. Hi, Sally Ann. I've always been of the opinion that in Saddleworth, the Oldham Borough Independents, Oldham Borough Party, whatever they're called, it's the equivalent of me setting up the Saddleworth Muslim Association and putting up candidates. I think irrespective of who the candidates are, I don't think there'd be much in the way of support. So the name does matter, and I don't think the Oldham Borough Independence was I don't know who did it. For those joining us, I can confirm that the summit, the Independence Summit, did take place on Thursday evening. It was very, very successful. And there was an accord between all the independents bar bar one, bar the Oldham Borough Independents actually, who didn't turn up. And that accord is very simple. They will work together in the lead up to the election, so they won't stand on each other's toes. So where one stands, the other won't. The second one is that they will support each other in the lead up to the election, so they'll campaign alongside each other and strategically, gain the support of each other in the lead up to the election. So they'll be campaigning together, a joint day of campaigning across all the wards where all the independents campaign together in each of the wards. So that'd be really, really powerful. And an agreement that once they get over the line, they will all work together as a group in opposition to Labour, the Lib Dems, the Conservatives, whoever. They'll work together as a group, accepting that there are times they will disagree, but they will work together. So that's where we're up to. I think it was a remarkable evening to get that over the line. So well done to every one of you who turned up. The willingness and desire to work together was clearly evident in the room, and let's hope it's something we can build on in the next 5 or 6 weeks. Some of you thought I was joking when I talked about the chicken shops and the money laundering that goes on at the chicken shops. Yet here is an Oldham takeaway director banned for failing to explain £600,000. Brazen on Union Street. So the Union Street chicken shops, the Union Street and Yorkshire Street chicken shops. A director of a takeaway in Oldham has received a lengthy ban after he failed to explain funds amounting to more than £600,000 and for exploiting a COVID loan. So he did two things. One was, where did the £600,000 come from? And also then there's the now familiar COVID loan. Hafiz. Now the term Hafiz, unless I have it wrong, Mohammed Rizwan, but the term Hafiz, where I was raised, was someone who'd learnt to recite the Quran off memory. Remarkable achievement. And so that's where the term Hafiz comes from, so you'll have to decide what Hafiz means in the Pakistani community, because that's what Mohammed Rizwan is, of Windsor Road in Oldham, a nice affluent part of Coppice, Werneth, I think, Windsor Road these days, has been disqualified by the Insolvency Service after a series of mysterious accounting records came to light when he was director of the takeaway barbecued, on Union Street. The liquidator found an absence of records dated from February the 1st, 2020 to July the 16th, 2021 to verify whether the funds were from the genuine business income of barbecued. The ban notice reveals Rizwan was unable to explain funds of £351,381 which were received into barbecued's business account, plus whether £275,758 paid out from the account were for genuine purchases and genuine business expenses of a town centre takeaway. Rizwan further failed to determine to the liquidator if another £15,308 paid from the business bank account were for the benefits of the business. A sum of £47,879 also remains unexplained, which was paid in cash. So the best part of £50,000 was paid in cash from barbecued's business accounts, whilst funds of at least £26,775 were paid to Rizwan in addition to his wages. Wow. The Insolvency Service found Rizwan was unable to confirm the accuracy of his director's loan account at the date of liquidation to justify the amount he received. In addition, because you don't know when to stop, do you? In addition, it was discovered Rizwan had gained a coronavirus bounce back loan of £20,000 in May 2020. And of course, he wasn't able to explain if the loan he received was used to meet the genuine business expenses of barbecued. The liquidator was unable to determine even when barbecued should have been registered for VAT. Well, if you're taking in 315 or £600,000. The 41-year-old has been disqualified from acting as a company director for 6 years. The company was formally liquidated on January the 5th, 2023, and a new director, Sheikh Salehan, has taken over the takeaway under a new company name. Let's have a look at some of the comments. What's the betting that Sheikh Salehan is related to him in some way? This seems to be a regular news item. Director banned for XYZ. Everyone knows what is going on in these illicit takeaways. And Gary's quite right. I'm sorry, but I didn't read of any serious consequences for him. And clearly. Someone found a race card. Someone found a race card. I've always maintained that there's a network of money laundering operations involving the Asian cartels operating on Union Street and Yorkshire Street. I've also maintained that these cartels, these outfits, are linked to politicians or supporters of politicians, and they, in addition to laundering money of gangsters from Glodwick and Wearmouth, also are involved in the block voting coordination. I have been called a conspiracy theorist for it, just as I was called a conspiracy theorist when I refused to remain silent to the cover-up of the now confirmed grooming and gang rape of little white girls in our town by Pakistani rape gangs, with the full knowledge of James Ignatius O'Rourke McMahon, who, by the way, has changed his Wikipedia page. James McMahon, well, someone linked to James McMahon, has changed his Wikipedia page. And let me show you something. You laugh at this. So Jim McMahon, politician. Nothing about samosa nibbling. But look at this. In terms of his, what's under his local government political career, the last paragraph says this. In 2022, a report was published into child safeguarding practices in Oldham during the 2011 to 14 period. McMahon is the person described by the report as Leader A. The report found that McMahon was determined to address head-on allegations about Asian men sexually exploiting white girls. The report found that McMahon was determined. So determined he never told a single one of us. So determined he never stood up in the council chamber and said anything. So determined he never issued a statement in the newspaper. So determined he carried on nibbling his samosas and used it as a platform to become the MP of the town. So determined that once the report was published, this samosa nibbling scumbag went into Parliament and called me a racist and a far-right activist and attacked the people of my town. That's how determined this man was. That's how determined this man was to address head on not the allegations, the confirmed cover-up of the grooming and gang rape of working class white girls by members of his bloc vote. And indeed, Westwood East got a 2-star rating for hygiene. No story in the Oldham Times because the Westwood East is linked to the OBA cartel. The building is owned by the Jabbar family, isn't it? The old Conservative club. Yes, indeed, Gary. So determined, he asked the reporter not to mention it. The rewriting on history is not going to work whilst these transmissions run. And just wait and see what election leaflets and banners we have lined up James Ignatius McMahon in the lead up to the general election. Just wait and see what I have lined up. Hoardings, lampposts, walls, projections. Just wait and see what we have lined up in the lead up to the election. Rewriting your Wikipedia page to claim you were determined to address head-on allegations about Asian men sexually exploiting white girls isn't going to save you. It's not going to save you. And I agree with you, mate. Jim McMahon should be tried by jury for misconduct in public office, which carries a maximum sentence of life imprisonment. I think that's exactly what should happen to James Ignatius O'Rourke McMahon. He should be tried for misconduct in private office. I worry about the death penalty, if I'm honest with you, because as someone who's been attempted to be framed by the police and the criminal justice system, I worry about how miscarriages of justice will play out with the death sentence. So that's what he's done. He's wrote his Wikipedia page. And meanwhile, for those of you who've been asking me, Debbie Abrahams is back on campaigning. Look, here's a quick roundup of all the things I did this week in Parliament and the constituency. So she's out and about. Her last thing, in terms of what she's done locally, she's apparently held her surgery in Upper Mill, followed by a door knock with residents, and with her team worked on hundreds of constituencies' cases, responding to concerns, e.g. housing, maintenance, financial services and markets bill, and the snow. So Debbie Abrahams is now working again. And if she's up and about and working again, as she claims, and I've seen a photograph of her up and about, if I can find it. You know, so much so she's clearly an expert on nothing on grooming gangs, but everything on Gary Lineker. But here, if you go on her webpage, you can book an appointment with Debbie Abrahams. Denise, you're her constituent. Gary, you're a constituent. Lynn, you're a constituent. Book an appointment with Debbie Abrahams. Particularly around the corruption in Oldham Council and the banning of residents from council meetings. I think as constituents, you should. You should. One door knock, a quiet door knock, Tony, and then run away. Well, they're not surgeries if she doesn't pre-announce her surgeries. You know what the truth is, don't you? Or what I think I know what's going on, the same as I think you know what's going on. Both James Ignatius O'Rourke McMahon and Debbie Abrahams are on the run, hiding from the constituents following the exposure of their roles in the cover-up of the grooming and gang rape of little white girls. They are on the run. Yeah, on the run. You know, if she just ignores your emails, and it's easier finding hen's teeth. You have a constitutional right, well, you have a right, a democratic right, to rock up to Parliament as her constituents and announce you are there to see her. There is that right. I take a camera and then post it before the elections of how she's refused to meet with you. I'd take along a couple of grooming gang victims and see why James Ignatius O'Rourke McMahon and Debbie Abrahams refused to meet with them. It might not make the Manchester Evening News, but it'll make it enough. I don't know if I'm a news platform. It'll make enough platforms where the people of this town hold them to account as a consequence of their failings. Running away won't save them. Although what else do you expect from any of these politicians? What else do you expect? She asked for my postcode before answering. She's on the run, isn't she? She's on the run, Denise. You should invite her around for some shisha and samosas. Or some Kashmiri... Yes. There's a meat recipe that my Kashmiri friends make. Very nice. Nihali? You should invite her around for that. With some big chapatis. And create a fake account with the name Abdul Ali. And you'll be alright, I think. Oh, never mind. Never mind. Okay. The Colosseum. I see you're all still being played. Equity has gone back to the Arts Council, ranting and raving, and in a press conference outside where Charlotte Green was one of those gathered. They don't want to save the building. They won't say it outright, but they're not interested in saving the building. They never were interested in saving the building. They just want to save their jobs, and they want the money to be awarded to them. They want money to be awarded to them, even though the Arts Council found them to be, red flagged them for governance, leadership and finances. They've been given 300,000 and they want millions more to be awarded to them. Oh yeah, Bertie's just messaged me. Nihari. Love it, mate. Yep, it's Nihari, isn't it? So, yeah. Indeed. Indeed. But again, the complete absence of political critique from the opposition parties, I find staggering. Let me show you. Let me show you something. Really, really simple. Before we finish, I want to show you something. Let me get rid of this. The Arts Council has committed £1.85 million over the next 3 years for arts in Oldham. Oldham Council, year on year, wrote out a cheque for £150,000 minimum. So that's 450,000. Plus other grants like the GMCA, the mayor's lot. And that wraps up to £2.5 million for the arts across Oldham that we have. There are 20 wards in Oldham. Even if 500,000 went on a central bit extra of coordinating something, and that's being extremely generous, each of the wards has £100,000. And yes, it's over 3 years, but it doesn't matter. Each of the wards has £100,000. Agreed? And let me pick on Saddleworth. I know there's a theatre up there in Delft. So Saddleworth, North, South, Western Leeds, combined would have £300,000. Let me pick on Shaw and Crompton. Shaw and Crompton. Add in Royton, North and Royton South, because they are, within the vicinity, would have £400,000. Chadderton, the 3 wards in Chadderton, would have £300,000, and so on. You can see. Failsworth, the Failsworth Independents, Failsworth West and East, add in Hollingwood, which is that way, you'd have £300,000. Why aren't you, and it goes on, why aren't you asking Amanda Chadderton, the council leader, and the chief executive, Dirty Harry Caffrell, for consultation of your share of the money that the Arts Council has ring-fenced for the entire town? This money should be distributed equitably across each of the wards and not be sucked up into the council's pet project any longer. The Failsworth Independents should be demanding their £300,000 for Failsworth West, East and Hollingwood. The Saddleworth Conservatives, yeah, no chance. But you get the impression, you get the picture. They should be demanding their £300,000. The Royton Independents and the Conservatives and the Sean Markins and his team, the Lib Dems are there. They should be demanding their fair share. They're not saying anything because Sam Al-Hamdani is one of the trustees who won't say a word. And we know why he won't say a word. Don't we, Sam? Because you are either a trustee not doing your job and we're just there as a puppet, or you're a trustee complicit in what resulted in the Arts Council saying that the organisation, the Coliseum, was not fit for purpose, in that it was red flagged for its governance, leadership and financial management. One or the other, Sam. Nothing to say, have you? We know why you've got nothing to say. I don't know what to say to you. Best part of £2 million, over £2 million of public funds, more or less ring-fenced, and not one of the councillors are fighting for their awards for this pot of the money. It's like you've been brainwashed and conditioned. One of those canaries or something who've spent your lives in a cage, and once the cage door is open, you know nothing beyond the cage. Go and fight for the resources of your town, of your communities. They have every right to this sort of money. Stop fighting, squabbling over £2,000 a year, £3,000 there, £5,000 there. Go and fight stop fighting over crumbs. The people of Failsworth have a right to a cultural offer. The people of Shulver, St James, Waterhead have a right to a cultural offer. The people in Halt's Village, on Limeside, on Fitton Hill, have a right to a cultural offer. These are Recusant Nine transmissions in the lead up to the election. We will be doing more and more and more. I will try and give you as much notice as possible, but sometimes they are impulsive and sometimes they react to things that have happened. So please, if you are yet to do so, subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's completely free. Turn on your notifications and you'll be automatically notified each time a transmission is scheduled. Also, there's a Facebook page, there's a Twitter page. There's no reason why any of you shouldn't sign up to those pages. The time to hide is over. If you want your town back, you need to stand alongside me and stand alongside the independents. And once again, a call out to all the politicians who are standing in this town. If you want to communicate with the people of this town and you want votes, then this platform is available to you. Please just get in touch and we'll put you on and we'll let you communicate. I think by now it's very clear I'm a very, very fair and reasonable man, and I want nothing other than what's best for my town and people I consider to be my own, people I consider as family. Thank you very, very much. If you take value in these transmissions, please do support me. Please take out a subscription. Please buy me a coffee. Someone's bought me a samosa, so thank you for the £2. I have been on now for the best part of 2 hours. There was another 2 or 3 hours prepping this beforehand. If you don't support me, I run out of, well, it just gets extremely difficult. You all know the value I bring, and you all know by now what will happen if these transmissions, if I can't continue them. So please, please, please support my work. Good night.
Do not fear them. Do not fear any of them.